Hello, good people. I want to welcome you back to my videos, my channel. I am Simbala Dizio, and this video I wanted to talk about just simple ways to meditate and relax and bring in the energy. Um, I know, for me, when people talk about meditation, for the longest time I just didn't understand what that even meant. Like the idea of sitting still for more than a minute was just not something I could fathom. It's just I would consider myself kind of a busybody, very active minded, active imagination, and I just didn't understand the concept of meditating. Like, what does that even mean? And a lot of times I would get the definition of, empty your mind. And that is just like, well, how do you do that? Like, what do you mean empty your mind? Um, and over the years, and cross studying over, Christian spirituality, you learn that that could leave you open to by opening your mind or leaving your mind space open and thought free. You could leave yourself vulnerable to spiritual attacks, to demon attacks. So I just I've always kind of stayed on the outskirts of these ideologies of like meditation and prayer and manifestation and all that kind of stuff. For my younger years, it was not even on my radar really. um, but meditation specifically just always seemed like such a difficult thing to do, to just sit and close your eyes and you know focus on the light inside of you. It's things that it's just like, I don't know, how do you even do that? So for me, I'm getting better at it as time goes on, as I do more and more. For me, guided meditations work, and there's plenty of guided meditations on YouTube for free, or I'm sure there's other resources. If you just look online, you can find guided meditations for all kinds of things, like guided meditations for stress, guided meditations for anxiety, guided meditations for indecisiveness, for depression, just pretty much anything you can think of. But even that can be difficult. We live in a world where we're riddled with instant gratification scenarios, with the high speed internet and fast food, fast dating, fast this, fast that, like getting an entire season all at once of a show, as frivolous as that is. We just expect things, we expect to know how to do things like this, we expect things to happen for us like that. So um, with meditation, that the patience that it can require is not really what all of us have. Um, so it can get frustrating if you're trying to meditate or calm your mind or just relax. And just the concept of it is, in itself, is already confusing and discouraging. So I just wanted to share just some ideas and some insight in what I consider to be meditation, and it kind of coincides with mindfulness and being in the moment. And so I was telling a friend this just a few days ago, that a way that I like to meditate or calm my mind is through observation. So I'm lucky enough to be in a space where, I have windows that look to the outside, and outside there's trees and a view and nature, and so if I'm feeling stressed or out of sorts, I can sit in my room in my bed and just look out the window and observe just specific little things, like looking at the leaves and the shape of the leaves, looking at the branches and how they connect with each other, and looking at the buds sprouting on the trees, looking at the layers of trees from near to far, looking at the shapes um, of the shingles on the next house over, looking at the color of the sky or the changing clouds. Um, and if for whatever reason you don't have a window or an outside to retreat to, then when you're indoors, turn off your TV, turn off your computer, and start observing things just in your room. I think that's why it's so important to create a space, even if you don't have a room, even if you have a corner somewhere, but trying to create that space as a sanctuary. You want it to be visually appealing, like things that make you feel calm or make you feel at ease, even if to other people it might seem chaotic. As long as to you it feels like home, it feels like, even if it's just a poster of something, or like a plant, or your favorite book. I like to have some of my paintings, some of my artwork around, other people's artwork, very colorful, stimulating things to look at, and that keeps me very grounded, to observe. And I told my friend that it's a good way to self-soothe. It's kind of like what children do, what babies do, if they are left alone, to learn to self-soothe in a room by themselves, and they're crying and crying, and after so long they figure, okay, well, I can cry, keep crying, or just sit here and observe my surroundings. So I consider it a similar thing, to just see what's all around you, and it helps pull your mind away from whatever chaotic thinking or just circular thinking that can be really tiresome and really just useless. Like, it doesn't really help anything when you're just thinking the same thing over and over and over again. So that is definitely one of my techniques for getting into that state of freeing your mind. It's a form of meditation. Maybe it's not deep meditation, but it's definitely a way to get you into that calm space of just, focusing on the simpler things in life. It really helps ground the spirit and helps you decipher what's important in life. Another thing that I wanted to say about what could be considered meditation is, like, when we are really entrenched in something that we love to do. So, for instance, for some people, cooking, creating a recipe, or just creating a dish, it puts some people in that zone, just like super focused, but also free. Those who are, good at cooking, they're not necessarily going with a recipe, they're just letting their heart lead the way. That's it's another way to kind of let your mind go. And driving is another way. For me, driving is very meditative. When I have a long trip, I can really just get into a space of calm and bliss and worry-free or stress-free. Um, for some, it's video games. You know, it can. I've had moments where that has been very therapeutic for me. I wouldn't, maybe it's kind of not too much meditative, but as far as like clearing your mind, you know, for those who are really good at video games, it can be very just like. Um, so there are different ways to get into that zone, just the grounded, quiet, um, stress-free, worry-free, but more than anything, connected. Um, Connected to our spirit, to um, source, or just connected to the greater energy of everything, you know. Even if you don't believe in anything, even if you're atheist, you know, it's really a great way to feel connected, in my belief. So those are some of the techniques I have for now. There may be others that I can think of later down the line that I will share later. And yeah, this is just for those who may have a hard time figuring out how to meditate, and hopefully this is a good intro into that realm or into that space. So you can try these techniques and then further your efforts in getting deeper into the meditative zone. So on that note, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you find this video useful. Thanks. Have a good one.